Hey, what's up, my friends? It's Danny, and on today's video, I am so excited to share with you the 5-step plan to buy your first investment property, courtesy of an interview I did this week with Mitch Pater, who's a seasoned real estate investor, flipper, and wholesaler out in Michigan. He's gonna give you his exact strategy, his steps, how he does it, and his formula for making sure that he creates wealth for himself. This is gonna be a really awesome video that I know you will love, whether you're buying your first property or maybe you've already purchased some investment properties and you just wanna refine your process and figure out exactly how you're going to do it. So let's make this happen. Let's build wealth through real estate. Let's go. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Danny Batsalkin. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am super excited for this video. And by the way, I'm a real estate broker. I am a former attorney and entrepreneur. I also coach real estate agents and business people. And if you love this kind of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you get value from the video and hit that bell icon so you get notified about all of my future videos. Also follow me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever social network you love the most. I would love to connect with you over there. So you guys, question of the day I want to ask you, do you already own an investment property? Is buying an investment property in your plans this year or next year? If it is, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. So I want to tell you about me personally. Over the last few years, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy focusing on building my real estate business, my real estate team, and also my real estate coaching and entrepreneur coaching business. And quite honestly, I have not spent enough time in the investment property space. That's all gonna change because I have big goals for buying investment properties in 2021. And for that reason, you guys, I'm super excited about this video. This week, I had the opportunity to interview Mitch Pater, who is a fantastic real estate investor, flipper, wholesaler out in Michigan. And Mitch shared with us on this interview his exact strategy, his exact plan, whether you're buying your first investment property or maybe you already own property, you're trying to refine the way you do things. So without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive in. I want to share with you this 5-step plan for buying your first investment property. Step 1, and this is kind of the first step if you're going to do anything in your life, and that's to create your vision and your goals. So let's go ahead and hear what Mitch has to say about that.
Well, I mean, I think anything in life you need, like I kind of talked about it, is a clear vision. And it's so cliche to say that, but it's so important that you know where you're trying to go to. I mean, you cannot get to where you're trying to go to if you don't understand it and like know it like very clear. I'm talking like crystal clear. And this was something I learned this year. It's like someone asked me, well, what do you want? And I was like, oh, I want 50 grand a month. And then he said, why? And I was like, well, I could, and then I was like, dang, what? Because it's my dream lifestyle. It, gives me a house and a car and I can give back and all these things. Then he's like, well, why do you want that? And I was like, so and I was like, shoot. So when, if you got a destination where you're trying to get to, make sure you can, answer those questions. Why do you want it? Why do you want the money? Why do you want the freedom? Why do you want to give back? Why? Because that's what's going to get you to that place. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't do. They think they just want this money. Well, I guarantee it. You're going to get the money and be like, dang, that was it.
Yep.
Like that was it. And you're going to feel empty inside. And it's a lot of people go into depression and like they're not happy no matter how much money you make. So you have to have a good reason why. And that should be bigger than you. So it's not all about just the nice house and the cars. It's, can you give back and make an impact in your community in whatever way you can? So I think it's important to know why and to have a vision of where you're trying to go to. What I've found is my goals spoke to me in a way that I'm going to need 100 houses to hit the goals that I want to hit. And that's a lifestyle I want to live and all these things. So I think another good tip for anyone kind of getting started, I think if I did it all over again, I would better analyze my vision and make sure that my end goal matched what I was doing. So what I mean by that is, so if I want to make 50 grand a month, you know, what's that look like in residential? Like I said,
Sure.
it's going to be 100 houses paying me, a lot. That's going to be a lot of work. That's crazy. So if I were to do it again, I'd look at that and say, hey, maybe I should start off with multifamily, or maybe get a couple of units in single and understand it, but pivot quicker and go right into multifamily.
Sure.
Because there's such a economies of scale when you have 100 units. You raise the rent $50 on a 100-unit building. Your valuation of that whole thing just went, could be millions of dollars, and that right there is so powerful. So I would have probably learned more sooner of that space, and better looked at my goals instead of. But in the beginning, you can't see that. It's hard to,
Yeah. So you guys, really, it's no surprise that before you do anything in your life, and buying investment property is no different, you gotta have a goals and you gotta have a vision. And so I love how Mitch put that for us and how Mitch set that out for us. After you have your vision and after you have your goals, let's talk about credit. Because you guys, as you know, if you're buying your first investment property, that's probably going to be on your personal credit, and you're going to have some good credit to make that happen. So let's see what Mitch has to say about credit and how to buy that first investment property.
In the beginning, it was on my personal credit. And so I have this like Fifth Third identity thing, and I like monitor my credit like a hawk. So
Yeah.
I've always been very aware of that. Hey, like that's like the gatekeeper to all the most important things. So I take that really seriously, and make sure that my credit's always up to snuff. And I recommend that to anyone. I mean, if you're trying to get off the ground, you got to have a good credit. So always watch your credit, figure out how you can pull it, Credit Karma and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. But so you said in the beginning, now is it a business line, or how does the refinance work now?
Yeah, so after you hit 10 houses in your personal name, you're going to have to move over to some sort of commercial lending. And yes, the business now has its entity, and it's kind of like sufficient, and the banks are looking at me a little different than they were.
I see.
In the beginning, yes, it was all in my name, and it was like jumping through hoops trying to figure out, hey, how do I keep buying? And that's like a journey in itself, is how do you keep buying rentals in your personal name without having, there's a lot of implications that like debt to income ratio and all these other things they're going to ask you about.
Exactly.
And so like you got to kind of navigate those waters. Every situation's different. Every person is different.
So guys, when it comes to credit, I actually have a lot of experience in this area. I also have a lot of really good resources for this. And in the coming weeks and months, I hope to bring you some great videos specifically on credit. And actually let me know if credit's something that you want to hear about on the channel. If you have some questions about credit, throw those in the comments below. I would love to answer them for you. But like I said, I will be bringing you more videos in the area of credit. Now, once your credit is established, or if you have another way of buying property, maybe it's not your personal credit, maybe you're going to partner with someone who has credit, or maybe you're going to have some partners in your business as well that help you out in that area. The next thing you need if you're going to buy your first investment property, of course, is money. Now, believe it or not, guys, if you don't have personally a lot of money for your real estate investment, that should not deter you. And let's go ahead and go back to Mitch and see what he has to say about the money and the financing part of the equation, which is, by the way, if you're following along, step number 3 of the plan here.
So I go out there and I talk to other people that have money, and then I'm like, hey, here's a deal that I'm looking at buying. Would you be interested in letting me take your money, put it into this real estate deal? I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to rent it out, and I'm going to refinance. I'm going to pay you back. But along the way, you're going to earn a double-digit return that you can't get anywhere else. Oh, wow, that'd be great. I love that. What does that look like? Oh, well, let's just say you're going to earn 10% on this thing. So they're compared to their savings account, which is earning them 0.01 or whatever. I'm going to give them 10% of, their initial investment with us. basically you can build a rental portfolio with not little cash, but a lot less than you would be able to, like my first one, I put my own money into it, and
Right.
50, 60 grand out of my pocket. That was everything I had, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Wow.
well, how do I repeat that? So I was already dead in the water at that point. So there's strategies all throughout real estate, and it's crazy. You can get creative. You can do seller financing. There's all these different things. So when people say you don't have money, that's false. You don't have the education to make it happen. So you're actually just telling everyone that you don't know what the heck you're doing. So sorry,
that's right.
That's right. Blast, but yeah.
I think it was Tony Robbins who said, there's never a lack of resources, it's just a lack of resourcefulness, which I love. Yep. With anything, right? So guys, as you can see, even if you don't have personal funds for your investment, there are alternative ways of financing that through either private financing for a portion of it, or maybe even all of it, the way that Mitch does it. So there's lots of creative things that you can do. There's also seller financing and other ways, like I said earlier, partners and other things that you can do in order to get the money for your deal. And now, guys, what is perhaps the most important aspect of this, the actual property. So one of the main questions I have for investors is, hey, how do you find the property for your real estate investment? And let's hear what Mitch has to say about that.
We go directly to direct to seller. So we're kind of cutting out, or AKA not going to look at any MLS listings. We are going to, the person maybe has some back taxes, or maybe they're, the 5Ds, the death, divorce, something's happened in their life. And now we're going directly to them and trying to solve those problems before they list it, or if they can't list it, we're there to help for that. So we're basically just helping people get out of their house in a different fashion. And that's kind of led us to find good deals, and add to our rental portfolio, but then also flip houses if that speaks to it. So we do kind of, I always like talk about this triangle. There's like wholesaling, there's flipping, and then we have a rental portfolio, and that's all under residential.
Right. I wanted to dive a little bit into the specifics there. So what it sounds to me like you're doing now is you're finding like the off-market deals and stuff like that, which, I'm in LA, and in Southern California, it is hard to find good deals. And so that's where I was going to go, is to ask you, so how do you guys actually go about doing that? Are you doing like a mailing campaign or door knocking, or how do you guys find these properties?
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything. And when I talk about all these different strategies, if anyone's starting or trying to figure out which one's for you, just pick one and get really good at it. They all work. They all just take time and, like you said, perseverance.
Yep.
So if you're doing mail, do it consistently. If you're doing texting, do it consistently. If you're doing anything, just do it you have to be consistent. If you're consistent at reaching out to people that have problems, you're gonna find something. But we do a little bit of everything. I do pay-per-click. So I use an outside company they do all that. I don't have the time to just set that all up.
Got it.
AdWords, Google AdWords, so SEO stuff.
Yep.
And so this is kind of like your online presence area, and we're doing just your typical general Facebook ads, retargeting and that such. Kind of taken off of that a little bit right now, but and then texting, and then direct mail marketing is a big one for us, and then we'd like to implement cold calling, but we have not yet.
Got it.
That one I know it works really well in our area, and it's funny you said the California thing is. Every market's different. So direct mail will work differently in Michigan than it does in California. Texting's gonna be completely different in a different area, and you got to be careful with texting. Texting can get you in some hot water if you're not careful. So those are kind of our marketing channels.
So you guys, you see the property, of course you can go on the market and you can look that way. And by the way, I know other investors that do find their deals on market. Mitch has a very creative way of doing that in order to find properties that are off market so that he can actually purchase them for cheaper and make more profit, or be able to accomplish his goals that way. So very creative. There are lots of ways to find properties. And like Mitch said in the video, whatever you focus on is what you are going to find. So now guys, in the 5-step plan, we've covered the first 4 steps. Let's do a really quick recap. First of all, you got your goals and your vision. You have to have that. Second of all, you got to have either good personal credit or partner up with someone that has credit so that you can obtain financing. Third, you need the money for the down payment or even for the entire acquisition. Fourth, you got to find the property. And the 5th step, you guys, which I think this was such a unique aspect of this interview, is Mitch laid out for us his exact formula on how he purchases property, his goals, and also what he looks for when he runs the numbers in order for the property to make sense. Now remember, this is a little bit different than flipping or wholesaling. He did talk about that on the video, but for this example, we're going to talk about his exact formula and what he looks for and how he makes this happen to create rental income and build wealth for himself. Let's dive in. Mitch, one thing I wanted to ask you about is, you have some cool things that you talk about in your business. I actually saw on your Instagram earlier today, you were going over kind of a formula that you have. I think it's an acronym of when you buy something and then you rehab it. Is it like BRR or something like that you were talking about, which was pretty cool. I would love to chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the same guys that I kind of learned the financial freedom or financial literacy kind of from all talked about this process of buying a house, fixing it up, and then refinancing. And I'll walk through those letters there, but
yeah,
that process basically allows you to buy a house, fix it up, refinance it, and pull out your cash, and you can repeat it. And I mean, it's a big thing. If anyone wants to learn more, just it's a big thing on biggerpockets.com. That's a great resource for anyone that's kind of getting into real estate investing. It's huge. Anyways, they talk about it endlessly. But so the B is to buy it. R is to renovate it. The other R is renovate, then rent it out, and then refinance. And so that process, like I'm saying, is enforcing appreciation, renting it out, showing the bank, hey, I got this thing rented out, it's all fixed up. And they're going to give you, when you refinance, they're going to give you a higher debt amount, but you basically have built your 25% down payment in there by fixing it up. And so then when you refinance, you get your money back, and you can go and repeat that process. And
then Mitch, I'd love, if you could, you mind running us through a little example of something, maybe even one of your past deals or something, in terms of like the way the numbers would play out on a property for someone if they were interested in following that formula?
Yeah, I wonder if I could do, I'll walk through it verbally. I was like trying to figure out how I could show you, but
yeah,
I'm a visual guy clearly with the whole video thing. But anyways, I bought a house back in, I don't know, I'm just thinking of this one. I bought it, let's just call it 120 because that's easy numbers. We bought it for 120 and we put $14,000 into it. 120 and let's just call it 15.
Yeah.
So we bought the house with someone else's money. Yes, we are buying with cash or someone else's money, whether that comes from like a home equity line of credit or just some private investor has a bunch of money they want to put to work. And then we are going to do the reno, and then we're going to rent it out, and we're going to refinance. And then we're going to take that money and pay him back, the private investor back.
Sure.
And so now after that process is done, we've kept the rental in our portfolio. He's paid back. He's got his interest along the way. So it's a win-win situation there. So 120, put the 15 grand in it. We're all in for 135. Now I rented it out for $2,000. This house had a lower level and an upper level, and I had 13 on below, and got a 700 upstairs. So all in for $2,000 to some med students downtown.
Okay.
And for them, that's great. The two couple downtown or on the main levels paying $650 and $650, and then the guy upstairs paying $700. Everyone's happy. I'm making cash flow of like, I think after the refinance, it was like $500. So this is a good example. Now we're all in at 135. So now I go to the bank and I do the cash out refinance, and they're going to come out and appraise the house. Well, I've done my research in the beginning of all this. What is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, fixed up look like? How much is that? What is that number, right? That number, which is also referred as the ARV, so the after repair value, right? So I already know I need to hit an ARV number of 190. So when I go into this deal, when I saw the 124, I knew that if I fix this up and have it rented out for $2,000, I can hit 190 based on all the local comps and everything. Yeah. In the area. Yeah. So I'm projecting that beforehand. Now it doesn't always hit the 190, but in this example, I hit the 190. So if you do 190 times 0.75 is 142.5. So when I refinance at 75 LTV, loan to value 75%. Yep. I'm getting paid this, right? Yep. Well, I only have 135 into the deal with the rehab and everything. So some closing costs and that type of thing in there, I'm at the break-even point. Yep. So refinance hits, I pay my private money guy back, and I have this. Now I keep the house. This part, and I carry the debt. I'm just in debt. I'm a lot in debt. Yeah, but you just created basically like almost 50 grand of equity for yourself, by doing that. Yeah, and in a safe position. I mean, we're not doing these crazy over leveraged deals where people are, riding on the riding skinny. We got a little cushion there. And we do that. That's the only thing I do now when it comes to rentals. I'll only do it if I get that cash back. If I leave a little in there, sometimes it's not the end of the world. So guys, straight from Mitch, but let me just do a quick little summary because I was taking notes when I was interviewing Mitch. And so the formula goes something like this. It's BRRR. The first B stands for buy. So we already talked about purchasing the right property, whether that's off market, on market, however you're gonna find that through your channels, get creative, but remember, don't get too scattered. Find a method that you like and use that. The first R is rehab. So you're gonna rehab the property, obviously, in order to make it something that you can rent out, or if you're doing this as a flip, that would be different. But we're talking about creating rental income for yourself. The next R is you're going to rent the property out. So you're going to find a tenant, you're going to make the property attractive to tenants, and you're going to get that property rented out and filled with tenants at market value rents. And then the last R is you are going to refinance the property to pull that cash out, pay off your investors and all of your other costs, and then make it so that essentially you have zero or little cash in that deal. You've created that cash flow for yourself, and you've also created the equity for yourself. So now you have an income producing asset, you guys, that you will keep for however long you want to keep it. It'll keep appreciating. You'll get the principal pay down from your tenants, and you are now in a good position to rinse, repeat, and keep doing that over and over again. One other thing I want to point out, guys, if you were listening to Mitch's example, and let's say you're in an area like me, Los Angeles or another high-end area, and you're not in Michigan. When Mitch was talking about this, I was thinking, look, for $120,000, obviously you're not going to get a lot in LA. But all you have to do, guys, this is all relative. All you have to do is just add a zero onto the end. So instead of a $120,000 property, you're buying a $1.2 million property. Instead of putting $15,000 in, maybe you're putting $150,000. The numbers will play out the same if you add a zero, or maybe if you just double them or triple them, or however that looks for you. So you guys, this formula, this 5-step approach
to buying your first investment property to creating rental income for yourself is something that I am going to personally follow, and I'll report back. Of course, I'll maybe even document the first one that I do following this formula. It's something I highly recommend for you. And if real estate investing is in your plans in 2021 and you need some help on the agent side, reach out. As you know, I run a team of luxury real estate agents. We're headquartered in Southern California, Discover Properties, but we help people all across the country through our amazing referral network. So we hope to help you in your investment, property, and wealth building journey. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I will see you on the next video.